In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the headlight assemblies on this Fiat 500. You have to take the bumper cover off for this, so let's get started. At the top of the bumper cover on the radiator support, there are 4 T30 headed screws or bolts. Let's remove all of them. There's 2 on each side. On the side of the front bumper where it meets the fender liner, you'll see 3 Phillips head screws. We have to remove all 3 of them. Turning the wheels in the opposite direction that you're working in will give you a lot more clearance to work with. This will allow you to peel the fender liner off and gain access to the T30 bolt that holds the bumper cover onto the fender. In my case, the mounting nut at the top is spinning, not something that should typically happen, but if it does for you, you'll have to use a 9mm wrench to hold it while removing the T30 bolt going through it. There it is. Right behind the fender, let's disconnect the bulb for this side marker, press on the tab, and unplug the connector. Underneath the bumper cover on the corner, also where it meets the fender liner, there's a Phillips head screw that we have to remove. And then underneath the front of the bumper cover on the lower radiator support, you'll have 3 T30 Torx bolts, just like the ones on the top. Here's a tip for these lower Torx bolts. Take a pick or a wire brush and clean out the inside of the cutout where the Torx bit goes so that you can actually put it in there, since this collects a lot of debris, because if it doesn't go all the way in, it's very likely to strip it out. On the corner of the bumper cover, right where it meets the fender, grab onto it and pull it out. There's a couple clips right along here that need to pop out. They can be fairly tough. And there we go. We'll do the same on the other side, but make sure you don't pull it out too far so the bumper cover doesn't fall off. Grab the bumper cover and lift it up a little bit so you can pull it forward. However, you can't go too far, because if your vehicle has fog lights, you're going to have to disconnect them, the wiring harness that is, before you go too far. The fog light connector is underneath right here. There's a tab that locks it in right on the side. Press it and pull this connector. Now you can pull the bumper cover away. There are 3 mounting bolts holding these headlights in. There's 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom. They're all 10mm in size, so let's remove them all and pull the headlight off. Now lift up the headlight, pull it out of its spot, flip it over and disconnect it. There's only 1 plug on it. There's the headlight. Let's grab the new headlight. Just as a note, this right here is your adjuster. So once you install it and you have everything back together, this is where you're going to adjust the beam up or down. You'll see at the end of the video how to do that so it can shine correctly. Let's get the connector and plug it in. Make sure it clicks. Line up the headlight assembly with the body of the vehicle. It's got a pin right here, and then of course the rest of the bolt holes need to lock in. There we go. And now let's just put the hardware back on. This one right here, you'll see that it has a larger adjustment point. I'm going to try to match this with how the old headlight was. You can use an 18mm wrench on this or some pliers, and all you need to do is spin it one way or the other This is where my old headlight was, so I'm going to leave this one right here after I adjusted it. And all this does is it pushes the mounting point in or out to make sure that the headlight is sitting perfectly on the vehicle. With that adjusted, I'm just going to tighten it up. Just snug it. Let's put in the bolt at the top. It may be necessary to push up on the headlight a little bit if the bolt hole doesn't line up perfectly. And start it in, snug it up. Now let's bring the bumper cover closer. Make sure you don't scratch anything. And once you're close enough, you'll be able to get the fog light connector reconnected. You won't be able to pull it very far, but just find the plug for it and press it until it clicks on. At this point, you could also just plug in your marker light as well, since you're here. Do the same to the other side. Grab onto the bumper cover and gently slide it on, making sure it lines up and of course isn't gonna scratch anything. There we go. Once it's centered up, you can go over to each side, lift it up and over the clips that are in there and tap it in. That's gonna lock it into place. We'll do the same on the other side to secure it. Let's re-secure all the screws up top since we're here. Make sure everything's lined up. Snug them down. Now peel the fender liner away and stick in the bolt that clamps it into the fender up here. This is the one that we had some trouble with. For me, this is spinning again, so I'm going to use my 9mm wrench just to hold it in place. Snug these two up, not much, just a little bit. And put the fender liner back where it belongs so we can secure it with the Phillips head screws all along the side. Start these on. You don't need to make these very tight, just snug them up a little bit. Let's install the Phillips head screw that goes in from underneath. Snug it up. And the 3 Torx bolts from underneath. There you have it.
Now we're going to get the vehicle ready to aim the headlights. Start with the tire pressure, making sure all 4 tires are set at the appropriate pressure. Remove any excessive weight that's not normally in the vehicle. Find a wall that you can drive up to where the ground is level. Measure 25 feet away from that wall and mark the ground. Drive your vehicle up to that mark. With the headlights off, look for the center dot in the headlight lens. Measure from the ground to that center dot. You can use a ruler to help you out. Transferring that measurement to the wall, making a mark with some tape. On the driver's side, measure down 4 inches, putting another piece of tape. For the passenger side, you only need to measure down 2 inches. Now turning the headlights on, it is easier to do this at night or in a dark area. Locating your headlight adjuster and using a Phillips head screwdriver, turn your adjuster one way or another to bring the headlight up or down. Once the headlight is adjusted to the tape mark on the wall, move on to the next headlight. If you're confused because the beams seem to blend together, you can always have someone stand in front of the other headlight while you make your adjustments for that one. Now your headlights are aligned and you're all set to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.